So you met somebody that you're crazy about and you really want this one to be the one. Be careful. I hate to tell you, the odds are against you. Welcome to my Broken to Brave podcast. I'm Donna Barnes. You will frequently hear me say that most relationships only last 3 to 6 months because that's the unfortunate truth. And there's a whole host of reasons why that happens. And that's what I want to talk about today. When you first meet somebody and you really connect and you have a great chemistry and you have commonality and you're off and running and you really feel like this is the one. If that's the situation you're in right now, I want to encourage you to put, time out, push the pause button, not on the relationship, but on your feelings. Because first and foremost, that's largely why relationships fail, right? If one person's like really crazy about the other one and they're way too enthusiastic, it can kind of squash the other one, right? Think of it like a seesaw. It needs to be really balanced in the way you care about each other and the way you love each other, and really follow the other one's lead. And I think it's really good to be emotionally available and open and communicative, right? Some people say, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I personally wear my heart on my sleeve, but you have to be smart about how you communicate that to your partner. Because if you jump in too much in the beginning, it usually burns out, right? Things that start with a hot flash usually burn out fast. Thus the 3 to 6 months, right? And really what that's about is most of us have a burning desire to find a romantic partner. And if you've been single for a while, that's most definitely true, right? So unfortunately, the way the psychology of it works is whatever our most prominent need is what has our attention, right? Which is why some people aren't ready for a relationship, right? If they're going through a career change or a move or just anything all in their life that has their focus, they're not focused on a relationship. They've got something else going on. So if you meet somebody who's in a life transition, be really cautious with your feelings. And I always say your imagination is not your friend in relationships, right? Because if you start fantasizing about where the relationship's headed and what you're going to do, like all that kind of stuff, it throws you out of reality, really. And it throws off the balance of where you actually are in the relationship, which is not helpful. So try to resist doing that. And back to my original point, we all have issues. And whatever is going on in our life, whatever our primary issue is what usually has our attention. So if that need is finding a partner, and then now they've found you and you're having a wonderful time together and you're really connecting and you have great chemistry and you're starting a really fabulous relationship, that need has been satisfied. So unfortunately, now their next need is going to come to the surface, and that's going to start drawing their attention. And depending on what that need is, it frequently tears apart a relationship because now they're focused on that and they're less focused on you, which then causes insecurity and you feel like they're pulling away, and it's a whole dance, relationships. There was a show years ago called I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change, right? And unfortunately, I think that just happens. You get into a relationship with somebody because you're crazy about them and you're really connected and you think you have commonality and you have great chemistry and you're attracted and it's all good. It's all working. But then as you start spending life together, you start recognizing whether you're the same kind of people or not, really. I mean, you can have commonality on the level of you like to do the same things, but that doesn't mean you have commonality of your lifestyle, which is probably most important, right? I mean, there's a very famous couple, right? Who's one's a Republican and one's a Democrat, right? You can have opposites on even some big things if your lifestyle is the same, because that's really the biggest piece, that you need commonality in how you live day to day and the things that you like to do, because that can really be a problem no matter how much affinity you have for each other. In the beginning of a relationship, it's so important to take it slow and to keep your feelings in check as you start to discover each other and get to know each other in a different way, make sure that your issues are in check, especially later in life. The more self-growth work that you've done, the more you know your own issues, the more stuff that you can own, the more successful your relationships will be. Because as stuff comes up, you know how to deal with it, you know how to handle it, and you're not as reactionary, right? As maybe a much younger version of yourself is. I know that's true for myself, right? So, but in trying to maintain a new relationship, staying grounded and true to yourself is paramount. You really cannot lose yourself into a new relationship, because that's the quickest way to lose it. The more you can take your time and really slowly integrate into each other's lives, the better chance you have of really making it last. Because things that start fast usually end fast, right? They crash and burn. You can really break your own heart by falling in love too easily. You can have a great affinity for somebody and great chemistry with them. That's not love yet. And I think it really does take several months to really get to know somebody and start to get to know their family and their friends and people that are important to them. And that's really when love starts, right? Like in the beginning, you can have a tremendous affinity for something. And, they say love at first sight, right? You love at first sight. I get that on a certain level, because I can tell you all the great loves of my life. I knew on the first night that there was a tremendous amount of potential there. And usually it did then become a good long relationship. But if I'm honest, there were other people that I met that I had a great chemistry with, that I thought there was tremendous potential there, that never became a relationship, that we never even kissed, right? So it really does matter how open and available they are, right? It doesn't matter how open and available you are if your person isn't really open and available. And they might be really attracted to you and they might be having a great time with you, but that doesn't mean that they're ready for a relationship or even capable of a relationship if they've got other stuff going on or someone else on their mind, right? That's the biggest form of baggage, is if someone's not over their ex yet, right? And they're trying to move on and they're trying to be present with you, but it's just not working. And that's how people get hurt. Really, the biggest reasons why relationships fail is unpacked issues, because as soon as you meet the need of wanting to find a partner, now your next need comes up and needs your attention, or you really just don't have commonality. I mean, that's really the biggest one, right? If you're not the same kind of people with ethics and values and goals, you'll start realizing that as you start spending your life together. Really, if someone's not completely over their past relationship, if they haven't healed that yet, if they're not 100% open and available and feeling like the best version of themselves, then I hate to tell you, it's probably not going to last. Slowing the pace, taking a step back a little bit, not by breaking up with them, but just by slowing down how often you see each other, I think can help with that. And really open communication. I think you really need to constantly open communicate with I statements, right? If there's something that's bothering you, you can say, hey, could I share with you how I'm feeling about something? Loving, calm, I statement communication is really effective in fostering true love. Communication, commonality, and affinity are the three things that are necessary for a truly loving relationship. So if you have the tremendous affinity and chemistry, and you have commonality, then you need to be able to communicate in an effective way that doesn't involve yelling and screaming or blaming or criticizing or really you this, you that, you that, like makes somebody defensive and shuts them down. But I feel, or I would really like, is much easier to want to do for you if I'm in love with you. Your partner, assuming that they care about you, is going to be much more receptive to how I feel about something than you did this, right? You know what I mean? So how you communicate with them has a lot to do with whether the relationship is going to last or not. Getting our needs met, right? Holding strong boundaries, communicating what's important to us, asking for the things we need, keeping our expectations in check and not having tremendous expectations too soon in a relationship, And if you have an expectation of something that's really important to you, you need to relay that to your partner so that they know that what you want. Doesn't matter how much someone loves you, they can't read your mind, right? So I've had so many clients say to me, well, if he loved me, he'd know that I want that. It's like, no, that's completely ridiculous and very selfish, actually. No matter how much someone loves you, they can't read your mind. Staying empowered and not being overly emotional, right? That's having unpacked that baggage. Staying present in today and not living in a fantasy world or running the highlight reel of the ex that you're missing, and really being open and present is how you can keep a relationship. And while, yes, most relationships only last 3 to 6 months, there are exceptions. And clearly, people do spend lifetimes together, right? So, how do you be one of those people? By being intentional with your actions and not getting too emotional and not moving too quickly and not fantasizing that you're already in a relationship when you're still just in the early phases of getting to know each other. You can make a relationship last if you're intentional about it. So make smart choices, hold strong boundaries, communicate with I statements effectively, calmly, keep your expectations in check, share any vital expectations that you have so that your partner is aware of them, and you might be able to keep this one. You might create a lasting relationship. So like my video if I helped you, and thanks for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you in my next one, and I always enjoy your comments. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think.